Hi, this video is really targeted at those of you who live in England and who, like me, are struggling to get a decent broadband connection to your property. Now, I've lived in my current house for around 5 years, and pretty much for the whole of that time I've had a broadband connection which is around 4 megabits a second download and 1 megabit a second upload. Now, despite living less than 9 miles line of sight from one of the bigger cities in the UK, the fact of the matter is that I am in an immediately rural environment. I'm about 2 miles from the nearest cabinet, so fibre to cabinet broadband is as good as I'm going to get. The copper lines in my area are quite old and quite unreliable. So while I have a broadband connection that is just about good enough to watch the standard TV catch-ups, BBC iPlayer, ITV Hub, they're not much good for anything other than that, and the upload at 1 gigabit per second is really causing me some serious problems in terms of uploading both videos to YouTube and also uploading high-resolution images to stock image sites and the ones I shoot for the National Trust as a volunteer. So I've been looking into what I can do about getting an improved broadband connection. And I read an article in the paper about this initiative from the government that you have a right to request a decent broadband service. And what we have in front of us here is the Ofcom page giving the details of that. And superficially, it looks quite good. If you get a download speed of less than 10 megabits a second, you can request a quote for installation of full fibre to property, giving you what is in the UK called ultra fast broadband. But get into the small print a little bit further down, and there are some conditions here. And while it says what will it cost, if the network connection is 3,400 or less, you won't have to pay for this. So that sounds fantastic. But, and there's always a but, 10 megabits a second. You are not eligible if you can get more than 10 megabits a second. So I thought, hey, I'm quits in here, I can only get 4. So I ring the number and I ask for my postcode. And they do a check and they say, sorry, you're not eligible. You can get 4G broadband, wireless broadband. Okay, that sounds okay, but I have a 4G phone and my home signal is basically unusable on that phone. So my assumption, which was wrong as it turned out, was that because I couldn't get a decent signal on my phone, I would not be able to get a decent signal for home 4G broadband. Well, it turned out that wasn't quite that straightforward. A little bit more research shows that the best coverage for 4G broadband in the UK is EE. Now, EE is a subsidiary of BT, and another subsidiary of BT is a company called BT Openreach, who deal with all the wired connections. So pretty much they've got a monopoly here, which is less than ideal. But we are where we are, so I looked at the EE coverage checker, and sure enough, it said I should be able to get good 4G coverage indoors and outdoors. Well, I knew that wasn't the case with my phone, but what would the issue be with a modem or a router? Fortunately, I have a friend who lives on the edge of Exmoor who has a similar problem, but after a career in IT, was slightly more aware of me of the options available. And he had bought a 4G modem, and his signal strength on the checker was actually lower than ours. So based on that, I decided I would buy a 4G modem. And I went for a modem really for future-proofing. Rather than a router, I wanted to be able to at least trial the system in parallel with my existing wired broadband. I didn't want to have to do the switch because there are various issues concerning SMTP email transfer, and also if I do away with the copper line, I've then got to look at voice over internet for my phone, and I'm not sure how stable the connection would be here. So I opted for a modem, and the one I went for was this Netgear. Certainly not the cheapest option. It is future-proofed in the sense that it will provide backup with other connections should I want to. And also it was the one that my friend used, as so I knew it worked in his property, so probably it would work in mine. So I bought this modem, and I went to EE, who provide the best coverage, and I bought a phone SIM on a deal that gives me 30 gig of data per month. I'm not worried particularly about the calls and the text, because I won't be using them, but in fact both run limited on that. This is a trial deal for 3 months, but that gives me long enough to test the thing out without actually having to sign up to a contract. So I got the SIM and I installed it into this modem, and it took about 5 minutes. The only hassle I had was the first time I put the SIM in, I hadn't located it quite properly, so the device didn't recognise the SIM. But once the SIM was installed, it recognised the SIM, it recognised the provider. I just had to confirm that it was EE that I was using. You do all of that through your browser. So you type in the URL for the modem, and you can then go through the settings. So it took me about 10 minutes and I was up and running. And when I was up and running, I found that the download speeds I was getting were 20 megabits a second, and the upload were around 10. So a factor of around 5 better than my copper landline for downloads, and a factor of 10 better for uploads. The difference that makes to me, particularly for photography, which has really been the emphasis of most of the videos that I've put up here, is that instead of say a YouTube video taking 3 hours to upload under ideal conditions when the line is stable, and I've had things take far longer than that, and I've tried uploading things overnight only to have the line fail halfway through the night, so it's been a total pain. But from going from 3 hours, I am now down to about 20 minutes. So from my point of view, although this solution is less than totally ideal, it is workable. One day, maybe, I'll get full fibre to property broadband, and this will become redundant. But the other advantage to going for a modem rather than a router is this thing is about the size of a cigarette pack of cigarettes. And with an inverter, a mobile, and this in my car, I've potentially got broadband anywhere there's a 4G signal. So if I was out on a photography trip and I got a load of images and I wanted to upload them in the field, I have basically got high-speed broadband connection with this, providing in an area where there is a broadband signal. I'm not tied to base. So if I should get full fibre, then this basically will become a roving system. So my investment will not be wasted. I've been logging the amount of data usage I've been making for the past 4 or 5 days, and it's running around about 4 gigabytes a day, and that's been inflated because I've been testing things. But basically, if I don't get my full fibre to house, I'm reckoning that probably somewhere around 160 gig a month, which will cost me about £20, will give me enough data to use, and probably to use with catch-up, and possibly even if I decided to subscribe to something like Netflix, enough for that as well. So if you're struggling with a broadband connection in the UK, and you find that you're not eligible for this 10 megabits per second minimum, and for the financial support that entails, if they tell you you've got 4G coverage, it's well worth looking into. It's not ridiculously expensive, and it will give you a workable solution, particularly for uploading large videos and large numbers of high quality images. So I'm sure there's a lot of techie people out there who are scratching their heads saying, why the hell did it take him this long to work this out? But basically, until I hit the real problem in terms of uploading large amounts of files, there wasn't really an incentive to find out. And I simply didn't know what I didn't know. But having looked into it and found the solution, for those of you who, like me, may be not aware of it, I hope this email might be of help. So, thank you for watching, and goodbye.